everybody, it's your girl, Miss Vibrations from Candy Coated Secrets. Make sure you give me a heart and a thumbs up and share. As you get in here, let me know you're here. We have this gentleman to my left with some good information that can help you, your loved one, a friend or family that you have that are incarcerated, that may be coming home. You know, he's out here giving more hope to everything that's going on. So let me know you're here. Thumbs up, share, while he introduces himself.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. My name is Charles Holloway, CEO and founder of ProjectMend. MEND stands for Moving Everyone in New Directions. Program really focused on transitional services for return to citizens. I really just want to eliminate the excuse of recidivism.
Okay, 1 second, y'all. Y'all know I got to share it. I'm sharing it over here. Make sure you put it in the group, okay? Because this is going to be a good conversation, and I'm very, very honored that you came here today.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
You know, let everybody know, inmate lives matter. Keep hope alive, he say, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what made you start the whole Project Mend? Like, what inspired that?
For me, it was just the need for change. You know, growing up in an environment, and I grew up in the Park Heights community, Northwest Baltimore, and I grew up in an environment where, you know, you see so many signs of people losing hope. Mm-hmm. You know, and these are people that I care about. These are friends of mine. You know, I had friends that went to prison, came home, went to prison, came home. I went to the military, came back, and they were still doing the same thing. So because I'm not intimidated by the environment, I wanted to have the conversation. Mm-hmm. So wanting to have the conversation, you begin to understand why people make the decisions that they make. So I'm talking to these friends of mine, and I'm like, man, listen, why? You know, we in our 30s now. Mm-hmm. Why are you still hustling?
Right.
There's no money out here. Like, what's the purpose? And I've had people come to me and say, you know, this is all I know. I don't have another skill. This is all I know how to do. Mm-hmm. So when people tell me that, I'm like, okay, cool. Then let's eliminate that. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't tell me that's all you know how to do, because I'm gonna find some other options for you. So it became personal for me, because I've been doing this work, whether it's working with children that have issues, working with adults that have issues.
I don't have no issues. Go ahead. I felt like that was shade.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's a little cloudy, but it ain't shade. But you know, it's just like you gotta buckle down sometimes and say, you know what, it is. Sometimes it's bigger than you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm good, I'm straight, but my friend's not good. So how do I still go around these people with this face of hope and not giving them any? So I looked at all the factors that kind of led to recidivism and people going back to jail, mm-hmm. and I said, let's design a program that fits that. So okay. I looked at the traditional halfway house, and I said, well, I don't want to have something that resembles that. You know, it just has a place for them to stay.
So this is completely different from a halfway house, you guys. There are rules,
absolutely,
but it's completely different.
Yeah. I'm offended if you call it a halfway house, because this is a transitional home. I want to get you from one point in your life to the next point. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not doing that, I'm providing a disservice. So in MEND, it was what's happening that's leading people to go back to jail. So the one thing was lack of education. Okay, cool. So I need to design a program that includes education. The other part was, you know, something simple as people can't get identification. You know, you have to have an address to have an identification. That's like one of the leading factors where people are homeless, or you can't get a job because you don't have proper identification. So I looked at all those variables and I said, let's come up with a program that's going to address everything. And that's how we came up with this. So I had a friend of mine, and she went to prison. And
how long did she go to prison?
She was in prison for over 3 years.
Okay.
Federal prison. Okay. And just working with her through her plight, and it was, what can we do to help you? And End of the day, I saw that there were a lack of resources for women. You know, in the federal prison, they didn't even have a place to send people in Maryland. They were sending Maryland residents to D.C. because they didn't have a place to put them.
Did y'all know that?
So,
Wow.
yeah. So we send you an hour away from your babies. You got to repair that relationship. You know, again, we making it a little bit, it's hard, that transition. So
it's like you've never really done your time, left it there. I'm ready to give you a job. I'm ready to give you everything. It's like, no, this record constantly keeps coming up as a battle, as an uphill battle.
It's crazy though, because when you look at it, right, and you know, I'm real big in rationalizing things. It helps me understand. So if you look at it through the perspective of, you know, if we were growing crop, right? So if every year,
y'all listening, give us a thumbs up. Let us know you're listening. He's about to break it down about growing crops and stuff.
Right. So if you were growing crop, right? So every year we were planting seeds, and we were producing a certain product. So let's just say grains, right? So every year we produce the same thing. In the one year that we don't produce the grains, we're not going to look at the seeds and say the seeds are the problem. We're going to look at all the external variables to say, we're going to say, well, maybe it's the soil, or maybe we had a lot of rain, or maybe we didn't get enough sun, or maybe all these other things, but I don't understand why that's not the focus when we look at helping people. You know, we quick to blame the individual to say they are the issue. They the issue, but
he got a malfunction.
I don't know, this phone, this is rough.
He got a malfunction.
Thank you.
I just did that.
Appreciate you. So
fired already.
It's one of those things where you got to look at. Don't look at the seed. Look at the things that are affecting the seed. I want you to look at. Okay, she doesn't know how to read. You know, so she doesn't know how to read. So that's one of the basic essentials that she can't even offer her children.
Right.
You know, if she doesn't know how to read, that's going to affect her ability to parent.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to affect her ability to provide what she would feel like is need be for her children, or she's got a drug addiction, you know. But we are quick to look at the seed and say the seed is the issue when we look at criminal justice. And my thought process is a little different. I'm not looking at the seeds. I'm looking at the variables that lead to a person making a bad choice. Now, again, if you continue to make a bad choice, then you just conditioned.
You hear that?
To make bad choices.
Repeat that though. Repeat that. Y'all hear that?
But
say that again.
If you continue to make a bad choice, you just conditioned. You've accepted your reality. The punishment isn't effective. So going to jail isn't going to scare you. But
and coming home is not a priority.
You gotta think about it, like people to be confined anywhere. Like I don't want to be in my living room for 48 hours straight.
Right.
You know, and we say a jail cell isn't the size of a living room. So for someone to do, we take. It's a lot of things that we take for granted. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You think about it like this. Okay. When you go to the military and you go to war, right? So they have PTSD.
And that's funny you said that, right? Because Gabrielle said it sounds like a lot of them have PTSD. So it's something. It's another diagnosis called post-incarceration syndrome. Oh, I never heard of that. Yeah, so it's called post-incarceration syndrome. Did you know that? So I didn't know that. What you see in jail affects you. It might equate jail to war. I'm just talking about mental health from a global standpoint. So if I was in the shower and I saw somebody get stabbed in front of me, what would being in the shower do to me? You know, what mental health, what long-term effects would that, and who's going to work with me through that process? Often we failing people in that. You know, you said you go to jail, you come home, you get a job. But is that the reality of the situation? Is that really happening? Let's go to the comments for that part. Chris said, I did 10.5 years and came home and adjusted like I never left. I honestly believe it's all in how bad you want it. So I would say this. It's hard to accept that because that's from a micro perspective. You know, what worked with you may not work with somebody else. Everybody doesn't have the same experience in jail. So
you may have went to jail and you've gained whatever skills that you needed. You might have had a different experience prior to going to jail. But
I'm interested to know, not to cut you off, Charles. You don't gotta go into too much details, but like what you did or what made you, not go back after doing 10 and a half years. That's almost 11 years.
Well, I'll give them one better. So we can just talk about the data, right? So Maryland has a 40.5% recidivism rate. So we'll just say 4 out of 10 people in the state go back to jail, right? So something's not working for those 4 people. We have 1,700 people in custody right now. So if we look at it just from that standpoint, we say about 650 of them are going back to jail. Okay, now
out of the 1,700, 600 of them, 6,400 of them are going back.
Absolutely, and typically when you recidivate, you go back to jail. It's for the same crime or a greater offense. Because what you do when you recidivate is you lean on the thing that you're comfortable on, right? So I get locked up for hustling or selling drugs.
Okay.
Then anything else that I do is going to be associated with what I'm comfortable with. So whether it's I'm hustling or I do a violent crime where I rob somebody in the attempt of, all of it's associated with the resource. Because drugs or crime is the resource. So what are we doing for that 600? And remind you, 650, that means people are going to be affected by these crimes. So what are we doing for those people that are having the issues with crime? And what are we doing for the people that are going to be affected by these crimes? So there are some cases where there are people that go to jail and they come home and everything. But more likely than not, we have those cases where people go to jail. If they don't have the resources to maintain stability, they are going to go back.
And then you do have some who just really don't want to change.
Well, then that's people. Remember what I said early on, when you don't have a commitment to change, then you're going to repeat the behavior.
If you don't have a commitment to change, you're going to repeat the behavior.
Absolutely.
I like that. You got some slogans.
Well, a little bit. I went to school a little bit.
I think it's a great program. It provides, you have a therapist, so he gives them therapy, housing. What else?
So we run down the gambit of the program. So
let me show you guys the flyer too, as he explains it to you, because you have to register. This is the flyer, and then these are the basic 5 steps. So
this right here is the assessment of what happens. Day 1, prior to you even coming to the program, we're going to the prisons. We're meeting with the transitional coordinators, and we're coming to do a presentation about ProjectMend. The transitional coordinator will get returning citizens to sign up, and they'll hear, what we do. For those that are interested, we leave assessments there, and they fill it out. I think that one of the biggest problems with recidivism or incarceration is we often are developing a plan when somebody comes out. I think that is not as effective as it need be. I think that to be most effective, that you have to develop the plan while they're inside, so they know exactly what they're working towards. So that's what we do. After the assessment is done, we come back and we develop their post-incarceration plan. So we'll talk about all of your needs, everything that's in this packet. The assessment, it goes over 5 basic needs. The 5 basic needs are basic needs, job search, family concerns, life skills, and career development. So it's just not one step of getting you on track. We say it's 5 things that lead to that. And for every facet, we have someone that's going to work with the individual towards those things. So we have a case manager that's going to more or less walk you through the process, make sure you're doing everything that's on your action plan.
You're not alone throughout this process.
Absolutely not.
So that's good.
And then even after you get out of the program, after a year after, we send the case manager checking in on you, making sure that you maintain it, and if you need any resources, we are there for that. Then we have a vocational coordinator. So if you want to develop a skill, we'll work with you, and all of these things will be certified through community colleges. So you're actually going to school to get these certifications. We have a job coach and life skills coach that's going to work with you in regards to that. I mean, just have you in a place where you are employed while you're in the program. While you're in the program, you also receive every month a $500 stipend.
Oh, so you give them money?
Every month.
Wow.
Now, with that $500 stipend, you receive $150. $350 goes into a savings account. If you're in the program for...
Is that mandatory, though, for them to save $350
Absolutely.
$500?
Absolutely. So the reason why is when you get out of the program in 12 months, 6 to 12 months, so if it's 6 months, it's $2,000. If it's 12 months, it's $4,000. You'll have money for an apartment. You'll have money for a down payment for a car if you want to get one. So that won't be another variable. So you've been in a transitional home for 12 months. I don't want you looking for where you want to stay. I want you to have $4,000 in the event when you put it down on this apartment. It needs first and last security. You got that money right there.
But not to cut that off, because that with apartment complexes, they do the background. They can hold that up to 7 years. So your program is 12 months. I've just come home. I have maybe a felony, right? You know, apartment complexes, they don't even do anything drug related or felonies, and they don't back to 7 years. What happens once I leave this 12-month program and I can't go out here and get an apartment because of my record? You guys gave me a second chance. Y'all let me do this, but you know, Sawyer is not giving me a second chance.
So that's the importance of the case management piece, because the case management department, they're working with people outside of men to say, hey, we have this person that is coming in the community. Will you give them an opportunity? And it's all about forging relationships.
So through this whole year of them being there, you guys are already working with outside.
So remember I said the part of it is not to work the plan at the end. You have to be proactive in your approach to say, I know you were here for 6 months. So we need to start working now on developing this relationship of where you're going to go. These are the places that are willing to take you.
That's good.
And if that's the case, this is how much we need to have saved. So mind you, on top of the money that we're giving them, we still give them an opportunity to work. Yeah. So the goal behind that is, if you are able to manage $150, which we give you, you know, the $350 is in the account. We're also teaching you financial literacy of how to budget the rest of your money.
Gotcha.
So, you know, we look at every facet, whether it's education, mental health services, all those things are in place to address recidivism, address the needs of the person. And the other piece is, on Sundays, we have a chef come in, and that chef cooks dinner for the entire house. And that person in the house has an opportunity to invite someone from the community that they're trying to repair the relationship with.
Such as?
It could be grandmother. It could be anyone.
Kids.
So, you know, again, part of recidivism, one of the reasons why people recidivate is family dynamics. So going to jail does not solve how people view you. You know, so you have to repair that relationship also. So we've looked at that, and you're able to invite one person every Sunday. So we talk about possibly 52 Sundays, you know, where you can invite different people or the same person, where that person can see, oh, you're not the same person that you were. Yeah, you stole my money, but I don't believe that you will bring that kind of harm to me again. You know, so those were the things that led to me looking at this program, creating this program from a macro level and saying, it's needed. You know,
It's definitely needed.
I've been to halfway houses that are smack dead in the hood. You know, so for a person with a drug addiction, the opportunity is right there.
Makes no sense to me.
For me to go right back.
Makes no sense to me.
So
so this is a county program, Baltimore County.
So we have a house opening in Parkville, but that's where the majority of the homes will be. But they will be in areas where there are resources there for them to get back and forth to work, and there aren't opportunities there for them to attempt to reoffend.
Okay.
So
So it accepts everybody. I know this may be a little soft, a little hard for some people to digest. Do you guys, and I don't know, but do you guys show or shun the pedophiles and rapists?
So there's no disqualifying factors. However, the terms of their or conditions of their release may prohibit them from being in a house that we have, because if it's near daycare, then they can't be there. So it's not a disqualifying factor. However, I can't put them in a position where it's going to violate them either.
Gotcha.
So
because people may bring their kids for the Sunday dinners.
Not just that. Just think about, a lot of the terms and conditions, especially with sex offenses, they can't be in so many feet of certain areas and daycares and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I know for sure, like the house that we have in Parkville, there's a daycare center around the corner.
Gotcha.
So allowing you to be a part of the program would jeopardize your freedom.
I just say no. I'm sorry. I say no to them. We're going to ask them out all together. That's a little touchy. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because it's like, I've already been here. How do you know if I've been forgiven? And we shouldn't judge. But that whole lane is just like, no, I'm not willing to, know your background, date you, and bring you in here with me and my kids to see if you've changed. You get what I'm saying?
I get you on that. Here's the crux of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any offense, there's a victim, right?
Okay.
In every offense, there's a victim, and I've been working with a youth population that has trauma, so I definitely understand. But if we don't provide opportunities for people to heal, in any context, then we'll just have more of the same, because they aren't locked up forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality situation. You're getting people with drug offenses that are getting more time than people with sex offenses. Yeah. So people have to come home. Mm-hmm. So the question then becomes, we don't have an island to put people on. They're in these communities. And I mean, unless you look them people up, you won't know. Mm-hmm. So my focus is putting resources in place so we can have less victims.
Okay.
In any context.
Okay.
So that's why I am.
Because so you're also, with your background, you run a juvenile facility.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because I feel like that's where, if we can get the kids and the teens, they off the chain today. Right. If we can get them, I feel like it starts when you're young. Some people say a kid has no hope if you get them after the age of 10. Like, they too far gone sometimes. Some even say 6. So with you see all kinds with the kids, and being as though that you have this program that's really more so geared for adults. Mm-hmm. What is it that you can say, or you see that may be the problem with the kids, as to why once they turn 18, the crime keeps increasing and they just keep going full throttle? Is it the lack of support as a child? Is it less visits? Like, what is it, to where as though it can stop at 18, to where as though they won't keep repeating, and then they become the number of one of the 1,700, and then be the 600 that keeps going back.
So I think that's complex, but I think it's a lack of a functional role model. So
y'all hear that? A lack of a functioning role model.
Just because somebody there doesn't mean they're functional, and just because a person is old head don't mean they're giving you guidance.
Oh, so like that thumbs up, y'all. Let us know you're here.
So you have to look at the generation before you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or look at our generation. There were people in place that didn't allow you to make poor decisions. There would be people out there that would be doing the wrong thing, but would see something in you and would not allow you to make a poor decision.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the functional role models have dissipated, where you have grandmothers and uncles assuming that role because the mother or the father isn't there. So what I see is, and not saying that my program is a cure for it all, but I think that once we begin to return leadership back to the home, because leadership is about trust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't follow who you don't trust.
Absolutely.
So once we begin to turn or return some of the leadership back to the home, then we will see it resemble or emanate from our children. But it's kind of hard for a kid to lead when they figuring it out. You know, like, if
May said, she said the village is missing.
Yeah, well, you know what? The village is missing, but we can't even get the village to work together. Because often the village is so worried about just their portion of the village. So you just worried about your hut. You ain't worried about the whole village. You know,
that is true. That is
true. Again, when we say functional leadership, it has to be a selfless approach where somebody has to say, it's bigger than me. Like, I got corrected back in the day by people that were straight. They wasn't worrying about them. They just knew I was in the way. Yeah. So you can't be out here doing this foolishness. And back in the day, you would have women and men scold you from their porch for something simple as walking on their grass. And it was accepted. But now no one's doing the rear. Or the adults resemble the children. So when you have adults encouraging childlike behavior, that's a problem. Like, who leads who at that time? Yeah. Because if I see in you what's in me, there's no reason to follow you. So that is the approach. I mean, it goes back to that whole seed thing. Social media, like, we look at all these different variables, right? So growing up in the 80s and 90s, you had a different experience, right? Yeah. You can't say, oh, your generation ain't do this, or your generation ain't smart. Oh, our generation ain't have these disadvantages, right? Our generation had, when you took a picture, you had to blow it. Yeah, you had to blow it. And you had to hope it came out right. That is true. This generation is the microwave generation. They need instant gratification right then and there. Yes. Right? Yeah. So when you have the microwave, all you know about the microwave, then you don't appreciate the oven. You know, I like that. If you got the microwave, say it again, and all you know is the microwave, you don't appreciate the oven. You gotta think about it like there's a process. I'm taking all these slogans. Borrow them. You can take it. But with the oven, there was a process of how you couldn't just put something in the oven. You had to prepare it prior to. Then you had to set the oven. It had to be the perfect temperature. Then you put it in. You couldn't run through the house if your grandmother was baking the cake in the oven. Listen. Now they got a whole cake you can put in the microwave. Yeah, they do? Yes. Oh my God. Did y'all know that you could put a cake in the microwave? Listen, let me explain something to you. When you shortcut the process, you lose the product. So that's what we're doing, even with these children. Like, their process is shortcut. Like, they are getting it right then and there. Right then and there. Like, where else you gonna work and become successful? Like, people used to being successful automatically. They don't work like that. Nobody wants to work anymore. But that's ironically, W comes before S. So the only place you're going to find success before work is the dictionary. Oh, you hit something. Like, break it down. I'm Pastor Charles. Listen. Say it again. Y'all catch them vibes? Well, look, we here. What did he say? He is woke. This black man is woke. Oh, yeah, we here. He's woke. Say it again. Ask with the W. Come on. Well, ironically, you know, S comes before W. So the only time you'll find success before work is the dictionary. Woohoo! But this generation in totality is, they have a lack of guidance. You know, like, who's rearing them? That's my question. It's not about beating a kid, but who's leading them or who's inspiring that kid to be better than they was yesterday? That's what Barbara Wilson said. Barbara, old school. She said he just hit on good points about having a positive role model and functional. Some folk put up with their children while some raise theirs. Absolutely. That is true. Absolutely. So you look, everybody go to Walmart and you see them kids wilding out, right? I know. Right. Walmart is a nuisance. Listen, let me explain something to you. I'm going to ask you. But you can't correct kids even these days. They might shoot you, try to beat you up. So it definitely all the way around is a different. But see, I got you one better. That's a learned behavior. And that parent learned to raise them that way. Because they didn't have the guide. So? Absolutely. I know some kids that had grew up in 2-parent households. You know, good parents.
but some of them just can't stay out of prison while the other siblings are on the right track. So, like,
because they are getting their leadership from the parent.
Okay.
So it's what you identify with is what you'll follow.
Okay.
So whether it's outside influences, because some children think it's cooler to go to jail. Like that validates them. So regardless of all the opportunities, the people that they want to be accepted by think it's cooler to go to jail.
Okay.
Right? So you hear about kids in private school, all these opportunities, and they still end up on the wrong path. It's because the people that they look for acceptance from sets the terms of what's acceptable.
Okay.
So
I get that.
It may or may not fall on the parent. The question is, who is your child identifying with and taking their lead from? Now, you have some children that they cool with being on the island. Look, I ain't doing that. I'm not cool with it. Boom. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And those children tend to be independent thinkers and ideally successful. Or if they make a mistake, it's their mistake.
What about the peer pressure? Do you think peer pressure really plays a
sometimes,
huge part?
But again, peer pressure goes to like a confidence level. Like if somebody can influence you to do something, that says how you view you. Right? Because and that's not a bad thing, because some people just don't have strong confidence. And this is in adults.
Even adults,
you've seen, I'm not drinking tonight, and then you go out with your friends and everybody drinking, you end up drinking because you felt like that's what you need to do in that moment.
Well, I wouldn't say, peer pressure, but I can relate to that. Because it has been times I'm not drinking tonight, and then around I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and just have one. But I don't feel like, for me, it's pressure. It's just like, I'm out, might as well just go ahead and
But if your friends like, shot.
Oh, I don't know.
See, that sounds like a little pressure. That sounds like a little pressure.
It does, though. It does, because it depends. Like,
but on the same token, your friends couldn't tell you, go stab that girl over there.
Nah.
Right, because you have something internal and you say that's not right.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the situation is, I know that's not right.
Yeah.
So there are some children that just don't have that to say, all right, cool, where's the knife?
Yeah.
Because I'd rather y'all like me than y'all not like me and I got to. No, I'm looking for that acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have two parents in the household, but if a youth or a child is not able to identify with a functional role model, then society is going to determine what's acceptable for them. Mm-hmm. And that's where we at.
So I know, because you work with kids, right?
Yeah.
You run the jail facility for teenagers, right? And I will say that when I used to work at Baby Booking on the other side once upon a time, even up at Free State.
Okay,
we're going even up at Free State. I'll get to Free State in a minute. But, working there on the jail side for kids, I've seen personally a lot of parents who just like wash their hands. They came in, I could call them, look, I'm not coming to get Daquan doing what he want to do. I got 3 other kids I got raised. I got a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. Daquan is 16, he ain't listening. Or Kim, she out here, she doing what she want to do. So a lot of times I've witnessed a lot of the parents just say, I'm done. I have other kids that I need to raise. I can't deal with him anymore. There's nothing I can do. Wash my hands with him, send him to jail because he's not listening to me. He's following the footsteps of his father, or his father's not around. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the kids, I've seen some disrespectful ass kids, even to their parents. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yes, like I get what you're saying, like that's taught and that's all that. But what happens when the parent or the only parent you have is saying that they're done with you because they have to make sure the other ones are doing the right thing because you won't. Usually it's the oldest, you know what I'm saying? You the oldest, so you acting like this. So I have to make sure I do the right thing with the rest of them. Like, what do we do with that? And then that's how he ends up here. You know what I mean?
So let's ask this question. is a child born being disrespectful?
No.
No. Okay. So we can agree that
Y'all hear these questions?
That's a learned behavior, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, the child had accepted that to be his truth, right? So what you can't do is change somebody else's truth. How you feel is how you feel.
Okay. Like
10 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
What we can do is in an opportunity to where we not, I'm not gonna say throwing kids away or saying we can't do it no more. There has to be more resources for that child before they get to that point. Like a kid disrespect is not like the time you get tired of it isn't the first time it happened.
Y'all hear that?
So
your kid's disrespectful. Damn, tell me, he got some slogans though.
The times you get tired of it isn't the first time that it happened. So my question then becomes, like, what resources are we? Because if we looking at it and we know that this is the direction that we're going, what resources are we putting in place for these children that we know that there's a place for them? That is either March Funeral Home, mm-hmm. Hagerstown. Mm-hmm. That's the plight that it goes. Okay. Or they outside in the way. So if we know, look, if we continue at this rate, this is going to happen at 100%. My question then becomes, why not do early intervention and do more resources with these children mm-hmm. to kind of tap into what the underlying issue is? So you may say a kid cussing a teacher out, and I'm not condoning it at all. Mm-hmm. But this kid can't read. So this kid is in...
So you're saying that it's bigger than just cursing the teacher out?
It's always an underlying... It's always an underlying
There's always
issue.
A root
it's
to
absolutely,
the problem.
It absolutely is. And it could be... He can have some kind of trauma, because some vicarious trauma. Like his best friend got killed last night. Mm-hmm. He don't know how to process that emotion. So the person that he sees becomes the target.
Or his mom could be getting beat at home.
You never so we never know until the offense gets great enough when we say, oh, these kids are off the hook. I'm at a place where I say everybody had it yesterday. So for everybody that's
he on fire. Oh, everybody had it yesterday.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Yes. But for every adult that is looking at this generation and saying these kids are off the hook, mm-hmm. they didn't start that way. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what kind of trauma has happened to them mm-hmm. that led them to operate like this?
Yeah.
We know how to condition. We know how to deal with being hungry. Right? Mm-hmm. It's been times that you ain't eat all day. Mm-hmm. Say that to the kid that they haven't ate in 2 days and still got to go to school. Yeah. Or you know how to come home and the lights are off and kind of navigate through that. Mm-hmm. We got children making adult decisions. And is it fair to them to say, we're going to hold you to this standard? Mm-hmm. And mentally, you don't even cognitively develop to handle these decisions. Yeah. So it starts with
saving them from themselves.
Saving them from putting more, being proactive in your approach. I'm not going to wait till you rob me. I'm going to see that you come to school every day with dirty clothes on and figure that part out. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? You robbing me could be because you don't have money.
Got you.
But what are we doing in place? Like we look at, case in point, we talk about the squeegee boys being a nuisance.
I was just about to say that. Do you think they should ban the squeegee boys? The squeegee boys, they said y'all are beating people up, pulling them out their car, doing all kinds of stuff.
I think
they feel like it should be banned, and they feel like when the mayor gave them a whole bunch of squeegees and all of that was like a disservice because they cannot be controlled. Like they're just off the chain.
So again, I'm not looking to control anybody. That's what you do with animals. I think that with the squeegee boys, as long as they're not committing a criminal act, mm-hmm. Then that's a different conversation. But let's just say they are attempting to work in...
So you think the squeegee boys should be able to stay?
I think if we're not going to allow them to be squeegee boys on the corner, we should look at other avenues of resources to develop whatever skills, because they have a work ethic. You come to the same place every day, same time, willing to work.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even get adults that want to do that. You know, so then my question becomes, what's the difference between the squeegee boys and what we were doing in the 90s when the Preakness was here? We were putting people coolers and carts and pushing it to the racetrack.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Pimlico.
That's not legal. We would wait until people park. We would put their coolers in cars, and we would push their cars, and then we would demand money.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The difference was there was no violence associated with it. You know, it was you being 14, you being 13, and you finding a hustle.
Yeah.
You know, so just because you're not legally able to work don't mean you don't have needs.
Yeah.
Think about the environment. Again, the environments that these children are coming from. If I don't have it at home, I got to kind of make a way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're saying
that is true,
you don't want me hustling because selling drugs is illegal, and I've identified that as something I shouldn't do because that's going to lead to me being incarcerated
and that's why
or
I'm
detained.
Squeegee boy.
Right. So, so what are we prepared to do where people who are trying to generate some revenue for themselves are able to? And if we don't have that discussion, then children are going to find another way or means to make money, and they will begin to identify with people in the community that aren't doing the right thing, and then they'll do the wrong thing, i.e. they hustling and all these other things. So you have to kind of look at it as, I identify the squeegee kid as having two things. He has a work ethic, and he has some form of desire to become self-sufficient.
That is true.
Those are two things that an employer is looking for anybody that when they interview you.
Absolutely.
They ask you, do you come to work on time? Well, it's going to rain. You going to be here? Yes, yes. Check, check. How long you been working? Check. Okay, cool. So we knocked off 2 checks on that box. Why aren't we developing that with these? Because now these children become young men and young women. We haven't developed that skill.
Yeah. And
now we're looking at them on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
So that's how I viewed it.
The juveniles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, Miss Joyner, girl. Miss Joyner actually, she taught at my high school, and what she did a fashion show. She had all of us all the way from 9th to 12th grade. So that was something else too that kept us busy after school. It's like schools now don't really have any after programs for you to do something. If you're not a basketball player, track, or anything like that, if you're not interested in those things, you know, like I said, she had a fashion show. She did fashion shows while she was there. It's like, I don't think that they're putting things into place because everybody is not athletic. Everybody don't like that. You know what I mean? Some of the comments, let me see. CJ said, I hate the squeegee boy topic because it's so two-sided. Most of these boys are just trying to find their way out, but they most likely don't have the discipline to conduct themselves respectfully. David said he's never had a problem with any of his kids because they all thought he was crazy. And Barbara said the child goes through so much. Some are being put in adult situations, having to protect their siblings while the parent is working or just strung out on drugs. And then CJ also said, you're right, kids aren't just going disrespectful. He also says somewhere along the line, I feel like the parent let the kids get away with certain stuff little by little until it got out of hand.
Right. So even in that, if you look at it from that perspective, that's a learned behavior. You know, what you allow or what you encourage, you allow to happen again. So then that's in anything, not just a parental role, but if you okay with somebody treating you a certain kind of way, they're going to continue to do it because you've allowed them and you've told them it's okay. You might not have said it verbally, but your actions suggest that they can continue to do it. So especially with children who they are impressionable, they're learning exactly how far they can push the envelope. And if you don't catch that early, even though you may say, I never told him he can do it.
Yeah.
Well, you never corrected him.
Yeah.
So if you didn't correct me, then you know, subsequently you telling me it's okay. Mm-hmm. So with me, and I look at things, you know, from a resource perspective.
What are some of the resources out here that you know of that you could tell people that have teenagers that even if you are a troubled youth, you know what I mean, that you could just get into? What are some of the resources that you have or that you know of that can, you know, help eliminate some of these issues?
So one of the programs I was involved with was a PRP program. I think the gentleman's name is Kyrie Robinson. It's called Team Everyone Achieves More. It's a mentoring program for young men and women. And why I think that is like very important, kids love when people invest in them. You know, I may not do the wrong thing because I know you believe in me. Even though I have these outside factors, I don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
You know, so I know you go hard for me, and I got all these other people in my ear telling me the wrong thing, but I know better. I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to talk to you. So I think that initially, like, we need to look into like mentoring programs where we pair people up with the same experience. So if you've never been broke, you can't tell me about what it's like to be had the lights off. You know, yes. if you've never been to school and had to go home because the school didn't have heat, or you never had those square pizzas in the cafeteria, you know, you don't. My struggle won't resonate with you.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a lot of men out there. There's a lot of women out there. There are a lot of Greek organizations out there. As you can see, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We are. Put your hands down.
Oh, all right, my bad.
Oh, my flip this camera. You can't do that. You can't do that. But you need to reach out, man. Part of our mission, everybody, Divine Nine's mission is service. You know, service to the community. Like that's what we were founded on. So reach out to these organizations, find out what they're doing. For instance, we have a talent hunt coming up. You know,
a talent hunt.
So if you have a child, this is an opportunity to get your child money for college.
Okay.
You know, these are things that we do yearly. So it's not if, it's a when we gonna do it. You know, but tap into that. So if you have a daughter and, you know, let's just say you need a mentor for her, you might say, let me see what the SG Rose, Sigma Gamma Rose are doing. Or I may know somebody in this organization, and they have a pilot program for young ladies.
Okay.
So now you have a resource for you right there. You know, whether it's PRP, whether it's, you know, Greek organizations, anyone. Look at that, because often kids don't take the information from the people that care about them most.
Yeah.
You be like, I tell you clean up all the time, you don't ever do it. He said it one time, and now it's the biggest thing. Now, that kid is looking for that gratification or that validation, and they don't receive it from you because they hear it all the time.
And because they hear it all the time.
So yeah, it's. I think that is the beginning. I mean, you know, you work with children all the time. You have a bigger influence on them in a short amount of time than their parents do, because their parents are often the target. I'm here because you sent me here.
Yeah.
Well, now it's this person here working with you. So look into some mentoring. Boys and Girls of America. Any PRP services, I'm not gonna say any, but I know Team is a good service out there in Windsor Mill. Your Divine Nine, but it all starts with resources. You know, I tell people, I have this conversation all the time. You know, in this country, we treat broccoli better than the people that pick it. So we give broccoli all the resources.
You got all these metaphors.
Well, you know,
you're not Angelina
went to school and read some books sometime. But they give broccoli all this. They give broccoli the best nutrients. They put it in the best position. They put it in sunlight. But the people that pick it don't have health care.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
So how are we treating? So we treat the resource better than the people, the laborer. So my thing is, if we begin to look at whatever the ill is, and I'm not just talking about throwing dollars at it.
Right.
I want to throw relevant resources.
Right.
to address issues. And when we look at the resources that are in particular areas, so you look at this area, there are resources in this area, employment. There's some areas don't have fresh food. You can't get fresh food in a 5 mile radius.
Yeah.
So what is that saying to the people in that area? Like, I don't have transportation. I gotta walk 7 miles to get fresh food.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I just go do whatever I gotta do. So that should be the way of beginning to address it. You know, locking everybody up doesn't work because you can build as many jails as possible. But if you don't have resources in place for people when they get out of jail, then, you know.
Raquel Joyner said that she was an educator. Schools can't do it all, but she tried. You know, she did her best. She said everyone's struggle is different, and the impact it plays on each individual. Different scholarships should not only be used towards college, vocational schools cost as well. I'm college educated, but I know college is not the only road.
No, that's realistic. I mean, everybody don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
Just like everybody don't want to go to the military. Or, you know, everybody don't want to cut hair. But there should be, I think that it's a disservice for people in general for a person to have a skill and we don't cultivate it. You know, like if I want to be an artist, regardless if you understand art or not, if I want to be an artist, there should be a way for me to cultivate my skill.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing that, then that skill dies with me. Like, you wasn't blessed with that.
Yeah.
Somehow I know how to do this really well.
Right.
So
she said, and she also said, we say that discipline starts at home. However, the parent does not have the discipline. What happened to parenting classes?
Well, again,
but it doesn't. Does your program do this? It teaches you the life skills.
Yeah. So that's a part of the family unification.
Family concerns.
So family unification addresses, you know, how do we repair that relationship? So you got locked up. Your son was 3. You came out of jail. Your son is 6. You can't parent like he's 3. And you have to repair that relationship with this now 6-year-old, because he may internalize that incarceration as you giving up on him or you leaving him. So how do you fix that? You know, and again, the halfway house approach doesn't address that. It says you stay here, you show us that you're cool for a certain amount of time, and you come home.
So you feel like the halfway house does a disservice?
Well, I'll say
they ain't ProjectMend.
Well, it's only one of us. But,
so for y'all who just joined in, this is the founder and CEO, president, all the above here, hot show of.
I'm just a guy.
No, whatever. Of ProjectMend. You know, he has this for returning inmates, right? Not returning inmates. Returning citizens, so that they can be healthy and productive.
Absolutely.
So you guys make sure you check him out if you know anybody who is incarcerated and coming home, or needs some help along the way. That's what he's here for.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, man. We have to address recidivism from, just a different approach. Instead of you mess up, you going back to jail. Okay, well, if you don't give me the skills, I'm bound to. So now what? And that's not what I want. I'm sure people that want to go to jail, if they are serious about changing their life, that's not what they want. But people have basic needs. They want to feel safe. They want to protect themselves, and they want to be able to protect people that they're responsible for. And if they can't do it the way that they are supposed to, they're going to do it the way that they know how. So once you understand that the consequence, that you can do the consequence, it's not effective anymore.
Yeah.
So now they've done jail, and they know that, all right, well, if I do this, I know this is the most I get. I want to break that line of thinking of saying this is the most I can get. I want to say I'm not going to do this because I have this to lose. So, yeah, that's where we at.
That's where y'all at. And Barbara said, come on now, and all the kids are in survival mode by any means necessary. Parents selling food stamps to support habits. Plus, some parents don't know how to grocery shop. Junk food is more costly.
Well, I can look at it from that, but again, that parent didn't start off, viewing things that way. At some point, there was a fork in the road, and somebody decided to go this way.
Yeah.
Right?
At what point do we take? But at what point do you take responsibility for your actions too.
Well, I mean,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
always 100% responsibility on the person. But just because you gain 100% responsibility don't mean that we shouldn't foster something to develop. Because do we continue to allow you to do the wrong thing? You can say you're bad all you want, but at what point in time do we say what you doing is wrong?
Can we keep saying the white man keeping me down?
No, so let me be clear in this. There are always external factors or variables that lead to you being in certain situations.
Okay.
But sometimes you just got to get a mirror and stand in front of it and say, what am I doing to lead to these decisions? You know, until you change you're going to be the same person in different situations.
Preach!
That is the... Oh, I get another 5?
Bishop Holloway.
Oh, okay.
Bishop Holloway.
Yeah, that is the... So it can't always be, oh, they holding me down. My question is, are you ready for whatever projection that you saying that you want? Like, are you, like, so you want this big job. Okay, cool. Can you manage that big salary? Yeah. Do you know how to? So there's a different mindset. People want to be a supervisor, but they haven't learned how to be an effective employee first. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you become a supervisor, you get this blessing that you're not prepared for, and you F it up.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes it's not an external factor. You got to get
sometimes it's you.
You got to look in that mirror and say, the reason why I'm in this situation is because I keep putting myself in this situation.
Nah. Say that to the camera. Tell them folk.
So the reason why you continue to be in a situation is because you keep putting yourself in that situation. And you got to be self-accountable to say, you know what? That's on me. Yeah. I can't continue to move forward as long as I'm moving like this.
Yeah. Look at that. I feel like we went to church, came back, and did some more stuff. So we were just talking about that earlier. That is true. It's like you can't keep saying, oh, you know, my record is keeping me down, or this is why I want to do this, and keep giving it. We all know that it's not an easy transition.
No.
It's very, very hard. I'm hoping that they come up. I think they need to come up with a whole new plan in prison. I feel like that your program should actually be like, I don't want to say a starter pack once you get incarcerated, but it really needs to be. It really needs to be in there to where it's like that there is help out here, guidelines for you to follow, and maybe it may cut back on some of the violence inside of the prison. You know, because it's giving me something, to look forward to. I can register up for this, and I know that my mother's not answering the phone, my girl, my baby mama, my friends, or the girl I was with, or whatever. I don't have anywhere to go, but I know I can go to ProjectMend, meet all these qualifications. I'm not trying to get no tickets. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not trying to get put on lockdown. I'm not trying to have a huge record, because there is a program out here that will support me and help me for a year.
It starts with a plan.
This is a 12-month program, you guys.
It starts with a plan. You know, if we eliminate people guessing what's going to happen, then if you can plan, then you'll have something in place where you'll know from step to step exactly how that's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
So it starts with going into the prison prior to having the conversation, doing the assessment. Because in all actuality, you may need things that we can't offer. And we need to have that conversation as well early on to say, you know what, I hear you, but we don't offer those things. And then we could try to align you with services or somebody else that could do that. But it starts with the plan. And people are failing the plan because they're trying to figure it out when they get out.
And how many slots are in your house so you can tell the people, you know, when you accept them and then they screw it up, you turn down someone else.
Yeah, so the seven vacancies in a home. And, you know, I'm real clear with people, you know, for every yes, there were several no's. So you have to kind of value this opportunity. You know, and I tell people, you know, adversity will introduce you to yourself. Like, so when you're going through things, you find out who you really are.
Yeah,
so this is an opportunity. You see what it's like to go through things. Now the question becomes, who are you going to be on the other side? You know, now if you aren't ready for change, granted, they have a place for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, then there's an opportunity for you. So that eliminates the excuse on why I'm doing said thing, or this is all I know how to do, so forth and so forth. And, I look forward to, in June, this first home is for all females.
Oh.
All females. Shortly thereafter, we'll be opening a couple of other homes. But, I looked at, we're sending females to D.C.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
That's alarming for me, especially if you're from Maryland or you're working in this area, your resources need to be in the area that you are coming back to.
Yeah.
So that was the big push. I have some other things lined up.
And how long has your program been around?
Since 2018.
Since 2018, ProjectMend.
Yeah, it started off with an idea, and the idea just came from being in an environment where I wanted to eliminate the excuse. I see it growing to other states, but right now my focus is Maryland because that's where I'm from. So.
Okay. And would you ever consider maybe, I don't know what their job would be, possibly hiring yourself someone that's in the program?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The goal is to give everyone an opportunity.
So you can come in and be, I don't want to say a candidate.
You can
become an employee.
Well, leaving the program, there's always opportunities. We have house manager positions because we have to staff the house. So who better to run the house than a person that was there to some degree? They know exactly how it's supposed to run. So I'm always open for those opportunities.
Okay.
But the goal is to have people working on the thing that they want to do. So if I have somebody in the program and they want to be a cosmetologist, I take it as my responsibility to align them with everything that's going to put them in a place to help them with that.
Yeah.
So.
And like you said, tell them again, with your program, they also get $500 a month.
$500 a month. $350 goes into a savings. $150 they'll get that to buy essentials and things like that. After 12 months, they'll have about $4,000 saved. That is theirs, free and clear, to do what they want with it. Whether they buying a car, doing an apartment, whatever it is, they'll have the money.
Plus they work.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the preferences of the program.
That's really, if you look, that's like their commission check on top of their job every month.
And we do money management. There's certain prerequisites that you have to do while you're in the program. So I don't want you just to have $4,000 and not know how to manage it. I don't want you to have a pay. So if you can manage $500 a month, what are you going to do with $2,400 a month when you get paid? Mm-hmm. If it's $1,200 every 2 weeks, I want you to understand and have the tools. Because I learned how to manage money by messing a lot of money up.
Yeah, I think that's how most of us
learn. At 20, 30, 40, I don't want you to have that hardship. I want you to understand exactly how, so we send you through financial literacy courses, and there's different prerequisites you have to meet that's encompassed with completing the program.
Y'all hear that? So this sounds like, I don't want to say, I wish I was a little inmate.
No, you don't want to be that.
No, but this sounds like a really, it's very refreshing to hear, because it definitely, it made me tell a few people about it, and, want to have you on.
Appreciate it.
Because I feel like that we need that out here. We don't know. You can't fault for somebody for something they don't know.
Right.
And 12-month program, that's a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And in a year, you're getting everything you need. You have the therapist.
Yes.
It comes with a chef every Sunday.
Every Sunday. So you're getting a chef. You can't get no boom room. Oh, no, that's so let me just say that so we can get this out the way early. Well, it's no spending, I'm going to take it with my grandmother. There's no spending the night. There's no spending the night. There's none of that. People are eligible for passes, but they have to be earned.
Okay. What are the hours of the operations of the house? Because it is different from a halfway house, right?
Correct.
So what are the hours of operation of the house that people have to be in? Is it a house phone in there? Does the phone call stop after a certain time? Like, how does that work?
So everything ends at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So everything ends at 10 o'clock.
But wouldn't it kind of feel like I'm still in jail because we gotta get on the phone at 10 o'clock in jail?
Well, I mean, so you have to condition yourself, right?
Can they have cell phones?
No.
Oh, they can't have cell phones?
No.
Is it because it's an extra bill?
Well, no. I need you to focus on the stuff you need to focus. We don't need any additional distractions.
Okay.
Right? So you'll have an opportunity to make all your phone calls and do whatever you got to do all the way up until 10. We have computer or internet access. I'm not saying like the computer goes off, the gas electric goes off.
Everything goes off at 10 o'clock. The lights, you got to go to bed with your pajamas on.
But I'm just saying, operating hours meaning everyone will be in by 10.
Mm-hmm.
So the conditions of your work, we work with your employee to let them know, like, this is where we are.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat whatever you want. I don't really
right.
trip on that, but everything else has to be done by 10. So
and someone else said, do you guys teach about credit? Because money is important.
That's part of financial literacy.
Okay, so that's a part of the finance.
Yeah, part of financial literacy. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm working with Vanguard Bank now. Get somebody to come in and work with people on that.
And how challenging, before we get out of here, was it when you started this to get other people, like you said, a bank or whoever, to take a chance in your program? Like, how many no's did you get before you got a yes?
Oh, you always gonna get a lot of no's. However, I was blessed with a good team, man. Like, I had people who believed in what I was doing. So Shamika Williams, Melissa Stubberfield, Christine McKenzie, they helped. So my web design, my marketing team, people that pushed me, they all aligned themselves to say, you know what, we see it and we believe you can get it done. So then it just tested my fortitude. You know, how bad do I believe in it? And I believed in it as bad as I wanted my people to be okay. So it was, let me go to Walmart and talk to Walmart about possible employment opportunities. Let me go to Fridays at White Marsh and talk to them about possible employment opportunities. Let me do the research to find out who hires returning citizens and forge those relationships.
Yeah.
So I did hear some no's because some people are just conditioned to see people in the light that they see them in.
Yeah.
But my thing was, you had it yesterday too.
Yeah.
So I never say I'm any better than anyone else. I've been blessed to not be in certain situations or be in those situations and not get caught up. So I take that, I humbly take that responsibility, and I think that it's my responsibility now to provide that opportunity to other people.
Okay, yeah. I like that. That was good. A lot of knowledge. You feel me? Like
a little bit.
You a smart black man.
A little bit.
He's a BMW for real.
A little bit.
A black man working.
A little bit.
He went to college a little bit.
A little bit. CSU. No. Oh, we're gonna work on her. We're gonna work on her.
I'm trying to get it together.
Sit on your hands, please.
Sit on my hands. That's funny. I can.
No, you can't.
I can't do it.
No, you can't.
What? Like,
it's not okay.
But you said people can change.
Well, that's not changing.
I don't feel accepted.
No, you can't accept that. That's a no.
All right, and before we get out of here, one last thing too. Do you have any words for anyone that's wanting to start their own business that may be getting or feeling discouraged or may get no's? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, man, you gotta love the process just as much as you love the prize. You gotta look at this thing and understand that everything that you go through leading up to that goal, you're supposed to. So when you don't meet the level of success that you want to meet immediately, understand that's just your part of your process. And if you believe in it, can't nobody take it from you. So if you start a business, understand that there are going to be times that you won't have. But you got to kind of figure it out, because the dream don't die unless you kill it.
Woo! That's what we gonna give him a book. Yeah, another high five. This boy is on fire. And I ain't talking Alicia Keys.
Oh, okay. We'll get that.
All right, so tell the people where they can find you at. Do you guys have a social media or anything?
Yeah, so it's themendproject.net. The Mend, THEMEND project, PROJECT.net. All information about what we do, our mission, contact information is on the website. The Mend Project on Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry, ProjectMend on Facebook. The Mend Project on Instagram.
Okay. And you already know your girl Candy Coated Secrets every week. And we'll be back next Wednesday with a special our final finale, last Black History Candy Coated Secrets Month entrepreneur. Make sure you go to Instagram, Candy Coated Secrets, YouTube, and subscribe. You can like and subscribe. I ain't even ask you to comment. You don't even, matter of fact, you ain't even got to like. I'm just asking you to subscribe, okay? And tell a friend and tell your friends and join us again next week. See y'all!